what to do. But I'm very comfortable here, you know. It's like,
I would love to see the place. Expect
yeah,
us very soon. The moment the flights are on again, we're coming over.
Okay. Yeah, come and visit.
Love to.
Bern is really a beautiful place, actually.
Yeah, Maya's mom wants to meet up in Vienna. So I was thinking of making a bit of a tour in the Alps.
Okay.
Go to Vienna, the Alps, Bern,
Yeah.
Northern Italy. Maya doesn't know it. She just walked in.
That's great. That's good. Yeah, sometimes good to surprise the people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So how is everybody? Hello, hello. Do you do you have questions still from the compassion part, or is it all clear? It's difficult, isn't it? I mean, it's like, you know, one can, you know, I can't repeat Nahum more than that with awareness, that we do need awareness in order to be able to really know, because at the end of the day, you're like, you know, I mean, at the end, not just at the end of the day, but every moment, you are the only one who really knows your motivation and what's going on and all these kinds of things. Yeah, so like this. So, but did you get, is it a little bit clearer what compassion is, and that you have to experience it, and you know, that we don't have to look away, we can look if we have some explanation, if you have some views why the suffering occurs, when we know that, and that we're not going with as a base the equanimity, so that we are, you know, we're kind of able to include everybody in the compassion, like most probably realized beings do. You know, they don't see just the present, they also see the past and they see the future. And so instead of getting angry at everybody, then they have compassion for everybody. And love and compassion are really very, very good antidotes for oh, I see who you are. Hi, Luciana. It just says Lou, you know, and I have a lot of small pictures here. Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm fine. I have nothing to complain about. What can I do?
You received my email? Did you receive my email?
Yeah, I did. I didn't answer yet, I guess, yeah.
Okay.
I had a very, yeah, something maybe I can complain about, but it was all just really joyful things. I had a very, very busy week because, you see, if I would be in Israel, it would just be the Israelis, but I'm in Bern and there's Zoom. So today I'm having 4 different things.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like,
wow.
Yeah, wow, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but it's fine. It's all very joyful things. So, yeah. But I will probably answer. Also, there's not much to say about myself. You see, the thing is, people ask you, how are you? You say, I'm well, and then conversation finished. I mean, what are you going to say? It's like, so it's nice. And it's when you have things to complain about, then you have lots of things to talk about and to write about. But I'm fine. I'm really fine.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. I didn't recognize you first, like, you know.
Because?
Because I have like 30 or something little pictures on my screen here.
Oh, okay.
And then the others I have to kind of, the others are, yeah, I see Shuki there and, you know.
I will turn the phone.
Backwards and forward. So in case I don't see you and you want me to see you, because I like to, now she turns it upside down.
Yeah.
There we go. It's like wearing those glasses. So you're upside down for us now.
I don't know how to do this. It's okay.
No, it's not. It's upside down.
Yeah.
So if you want to see me, or if you want to say hello, say hello personally, just maybe open your bike, but also then you need to open your camera, because otherwise.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
But we can also, if you want, you know, we can have a private Zoom if you want, and we can have a chat, which is much easier than to write. Now it's okay. Now.
Annie, if you didn't have these 4 groups today on Zoom.
What's that?
If you didn't have 4 meetings on Zoom today,
I do.
All right.
Yeah.
Suppose you didn't have for only one or two or nothing.
Then
Then you will do the mantra and everything, but will you be learning, doing something Dharma, or will you sometimes just be sitting doing nothing?
I sometimes do nothing and I watch movies on the Mediathek and things like this, documentaries or just doing nothing. It's okay. I'm not just, being holy the whole day. Don't worry. I also do things like I'm trying not to do unethical things, but then I also do things.
Yeah, you like the CNN, we know that.
Yeah, no, CNN I don't like. No, it's
Not CNN, but news.
I watch the Swiss news, the Swiss news channel. Anyway, so let's not go into there. But just to calm you down, I'm also doing very ordinary things. So, or going to see friends, or going for a walk, or whatever. It's okay. Okay, so we're coming to joy. And so that's the fourth one. Yeah, if you remember, may all beings be happy and have the causes for happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May all beings never be separated from the happiness or the joy, like the happiness that knows no suffering. So this is quite high, Again, this is like the Buddhist view of having at least, that's the least one, having a precious human rebirth where you can make progress on the path, but even better, to be liberated from being under the control of unhelpful emotions, or the best, to be fully awakened or to be fully enlightened. So, but we can learn to rejoice about all the things that we have, and we can learn to be joyful even though the whole world is falling apart. And that for us, sometimes it feels as if it is very cruel. So, but it's not, as I said, maybe the first day when somebody asked me, how are you? I feel almost ashamed to say what, what can I say? I'm okay. Inside, I'm okay. I feel open. I feel light. And yeah, so maybe as Nahum said, maybe I do practice more, not because I have more time, but because there's more Zoom. So when it's Zoom, it's always Dharma, it's not anything else. And I can feel the effect. And anyway, in a way, I don't have to go and really find the causes why I feel well. It's enough for me that I feel well, and then I'm happy. I don't need to kind of destroy it by kind of digging for the causes. If I'm well, I'm well. If I'm not well, then also I know what to do, just to let it be and to remember suffering. Maybe do Tonglen or do other things. So, but I would like to show you another video, which luckily the other one had subtitles because I didn't open the computer kind of sound for you. But when it's about rejoicing, some of you might know it because it's quite old, but it's good to watch these things more than once. So it's a little Indian boy. Can you see and hear?
So my question to you today is, what do you
No.
practice?
No.
Okay. No, okay, wait.
What do you practice?
Then I close again and try to open again. Now, can you see a boy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, if you can't hear him, then again shout, and then
Because what you practice, you will get good at. What do you practice? Do you practice joy in your life? Do you practice peace in your life? Do you practice happiness in your life? Or do you practice a lot of complaining? Because if you complain, you will get very good at it. And you will get so good at it that you will find fault with everything. Even when there's no fault that a layman cannot see, you, being an expert, will see it. What do you practice? Do you practice anger? Because if you practice anger, you will get very good at it. And you will get so good at it that the most trivial you'll think will make you angry. Like sitting in an airplane and watching the sea across from you somehow looks better than the one you've been given. And that is so unfair of the airlines. What do you practice? Do you practice being worried? Because if you practice being worried, you will get very good at it. And you will get so good at it that everything will worry you, including the buffalo you don't have. So I propose, if this is true that it's a question of practice, then I propose you practice joy.
Very simple, isn't it?
That is so cute.
It is so cute, and he's so right. He's not just cute. I tell you, he's also, oh, wait, I have to close it.
Of course.
He is also totally right. And so, you know, what I really like when he says, if you practice worrying, you will end up worrying for the buffaloes you don't have. It's like, so again, for the joy in your life, try to find things like this, you know, that lighten you up, and especially when you feel like, phew, instead of chocolate or ice cream, can you please send the link to this video? Yeah, maybe I'll send it to Giddy, or I'll send it to the Dharma friends, and then you can, because if I have to find it now, because I downloaded it on my computer, so I don't have the link. So you know, find something that you can always go back to. And it's not just the first time that it will make you joy. It's amazing. It's not just the first time that it will make you joyful. It's like you can watch it, you can go back to watching it again and again and again. Also, there's maybe a 2.5-year-old boy who is playing the drums. And I think his name is Howard Moon. He's probably Vietnamese or something. And he's playing the drums like, I don't have it anymore, but he's playing the drums like a professional. He looks like Keith Moon or something, and he's really enjoying himself, you know. So just watching this little boy enjoying to play the drums like a professional, it does something to your mind because of those mirror neurons. So we can take refuge in this when we feel that you are, yeah, somebody already found it, okay. To practice joy, exactly. We can learn it. We have to practice it. Yeah, somebody in the chat, I think, already found the link. So you're very good at this on YouTube, okay? Howard Wong is probably also on Wong, I think, I can't remember, is also on. And there's plenty of videos like this that you can take refuge. And then when the mind is joyful and open, then it's much easier to go through life, actually. And you know, and joy spreads also. Yeah, maybe at the beginning people might think you are a bit crazy because with all the bad things that are going on. You know, I remember when it was 9/11 and I was in Paris with a friend, and both of us are like really giggling all the time and really, you know, kind of not so serious. And we were in the underground and we laughed, and everybody was looking as totally shocked. You know, how dare you laugh at this moment when these two twin towers have been kind of, you know, shut down. But it doesn't change anything. You see, the thing is with being angry and upset and talking about it obsessively all the time, it doesn't change a thing. This is it. This is it. It just makes you worried and not being able to enjoy life. So let me read out what sympathetic joy is from this, from the thing. So the definition of sympathetic joy is being happy with somebody's fortune or happiness. So we could find plenty of people, you know, but then the problem is if we don't like the people that are, you know, that are well or happy or peaceful or whatever, if we don't like them, then we're not happy with them. So in Tibetan, the Tibetan Lamas say rejoicing, like being happy with the happiness of somebody else, is the easiest practice. This is the practice you can do even lying down. And you can practice it. Like when you see somebody in the street, like a young couple or an old couple, doesn't matter, who seem to be really concentrated on each other, who seem to be loving each other, you rejoice. You look at them and you think, wow, so wonderful. You know, if you see somebody who's beautiful, you see somebody who is successful, you see somebody who has what you would like to have because you think that is lacking, then kind of their happiness becomes yours. It's so easy. It's really easy. And it is, as the boy is saying, it's a practice, it's a training. You know, we can practice and train to see all the negative things and complain all the time. And I'm pretty sure you know people like this. Do you know people like this? That are, you know, whatever there is in front of their eyes, they only see the negative thing because there's always something negative in everything. Do you know somebody like this?
Of course, a lot of people.
A lot of people. Are we a bit like this also, or is it just others again?
Of course.
Hagar is living with them. Okay. Okay. So then if you live with them, because then it's always the big question, you know, what shall I do? How can I change their mindset? We cannot change their mindset. We can be gentle. We can be, you know, especially with those people, do not try to make them see the positive things. Because you see, what they see spontaneously, it's perspective, isn't it? It's like that's what they see. So if you come and you're trying to convince them that everything is beautiful and everything is wonderful, they need to give you their point of view. So they have to explain to you how terrible everything is. So then their view of seeing things in a difficult, terrible way becomes even stronger. So it's much better to agree with them. That might come a bit of a surprise. Yeah, try it out, because our ego doesn't want to. Adriana is shaking her head. Try it out. You know, somebody comes and says, wow, this is really terrible. And you go like, yeah, it's true. This is really terrible. It's the same way we have to practice self-compassion. You know, if you feel hurt, if you feel pain, and you go inside and you use Buddhist methods about karma and impermanence and emptiness and all this, your ego will not feel understood. And it might not even be, you know, if you're very experienced, this can help. But if you're not, you know, then it's like not understand somebody who sees things in a negative way. So it's okay to say to somebody who sees something is really difficult, it's okay to agree with them and say, yeah, you know, it's their view. So you go like, yeah, this is really difficult. I say yes. Well, no, wait, that was too quick. I have to open the chat. I say, yes, it's terrible, but you can see it. No, don't. Because then again, you don't understand what they see. It's, again, turn the whole thing around, Adriana. When you have a problem or you find something really heavy, and then I come along, you know, and you see, if people ask you, if people say, oh, I don't know, I'm really in a bad mood, or, you know, I'm depressed, or, can you please help me? Can you please tell me what I should do? Then it's okay to say you can see it in another way. If they don't ask, it's enough to just listen. And unfortunately, we totally underestimate the power of listening with an open heart. Not giving them another view, not, you know, trying to make them better, but showing them, I love you the way you are. And I understand your suffering. That is compassion. Yeah. Of course, it's something different if somebody comes and says, can you help me? And they ask you what to do. But we give these things to people without them wanting it. And sometimes it's a bit like this, isn't it? When I come with a problem or something that really bothers me, and I tell somebody else, and immediately they jump in. Yeah, deep listening, it's called, exactly. Immediately they jump in and want to give me another view. Somehow, sometimes I also get a little bit upset, you know. And sometimes, actually, you know, people ask me, how are you? Now, I am a very lazy person. I love to do sports, but I don't like to do exercises. I find it totally boring and I have no joy in it, or whatever. So then people ask me, how are you? How are your knees? Yeah. So when I say what's going on, then immediately they tell me what I should do. So sometimes I say, look, I didn't ask you what I should do because I'm not ready to do anything. So if you tell me what I should do, I feel guilty about not doing it. Yeah. So now when somebody asks me, how are you? I usually say I'm well. So because I know that, and also I am well. It doesn't bother me enough to do something about it. So, so then all the therapists and all the physios and all these people, they always want me to do exercises and this and that, not telling them what to do, but set an example. Not necessarily. I mean, it's like, yeah, you can set an example, but just connecting with them and understanding. Ronnie just sent me a message and she said, it's amazing how I changed because I start to understand the people that I disagree with. This is very profound. This is very deep. And this is exactly what is happening with compassion. You don't have to disagree what these people are doing, but you start to understand where they are coming from. And you start to wish for their happiness. Do you see what I mean? Do you understand? There were more chats. Let me look at them. Listening, giving them a safe space to express their feelings. Exactly. Who is that? Hagar. Yeah. So Hagar, but you're also the one who is staying with the ones who are constantly complaining, isn't it? You said, and staying with them in the moment with compassion. I believe in setting an example, not telling them what to do, but set an example. Not even that. You don't have to go that far.
Well, not necessarily by setting an example by verbally, not necessarily verbally setting an example, but setting an example as a bodhisattva in the world, or say, like, I think I talked to you about the way that I live with them. Those are my parents. And
yeah, exactly.
Extremely unemotionally stable.
Yeah,
extremely. So first of all, I see that as a practice for me.
Yeah.
This is a practice, but also the way that I can influence is by by looking at things differently and not to get extremely emotional about things, but setting an example in a quiet way, not
exactly. Yeah, this is okay.
Only if they ask.
This is okay, just to not to be too impressed by their negativities and as you say, very good not to get emotional about this. So sympathetic joy here refers to the potential of bliss and happiness of all sentient beings as they can all become Buddhas. So this is good, So if you're not a Buddhist, instead of thinking everybody has Buddha nature, you can think like everybody has the potential to be happy. Because that's true. Everybody can be happy. Yeah, even though, if you are working with deeply, deeply disturbed people, then it's true that sometimes you think, no, I had a discussion with therapists at one point, whether whether there is people who are by nature kind of harmful, negative, like this. So some therapists, they say yes, they believe yes. The therapists who go to human spirit, then they said no, they do believe they don't have this view. So because they learn about Buddhism. So I think again, we don't know. We can assume. So how can we know if somebody is by nature really harmful or aggressive? Or how can we know that everybody has the potential to be happy? So you again, from your own side, you have to see what kind of view do I want to adapt that is helping me in my work, or helping me to deal with the people like in daily life. So the near enemy to this sympathetic joy is hypocrisy, faking, faking that you're rejoicing with them, but inside is nothing there. So then it's better not to say anything, Then the opposite is jealousy, when one cannot accept the happiness of others. A result which one needs to avoid is spaced out bliss, which can easily turn into laziness. Yeah, so again, each of these, if you go overboard, like if you go too far, each of these four immeasurables then turns kind of sour almost, it doesn't fulfill what it's supposed to do anymore. So sympathetic joy is a great antidote to depression for oneself as well, but this should not be the main goal. So, okay, by rejoicing in others' progress on the spiritual path, one can actually share their positive karma. So when it goes to the other side, yeah, like when you meditate too much, let's say on love, then attachment can arise, attachment to that person. Yeah. So then you have to counteract that with unaimed compassion to overcome suffering or confused karmic entanglement. Okay. So then if you have like too much compassion, then you can get too fixed on others as truly existent objects, you know, true suffering, real people. So you counteract that with unaimed joy. Unaimed, I mean, just a sensation, but not taking a person. Yeah, just maybe taking all sentient beings or something like that, not aimed at one person. Although to experience those sensations, it's good to take one person where it comes up naturally. Yeah. So the objects that you start with, they say for love, it's yourself. Only in the West, it doesn't work so well. So I would say a friend. For compassion, it is somebody that has not such big suffering and that you're not so close to. Yeah, so that you're not getting entangled in the whole thing. For joy, you think about, for example, the Dalai Lama. Yeah, like somebody who is a role model for you, who can, you know, who is, yeah, somebody that inspires you. And then for equanimity, of course, you know, we train ourselves. We take a friend, we take an enemy, we take a stranger. Yeah, so then with these people that you think about, then it arises kind of spontaneously. So yeah, with aimed compassion, you can become, you know, disturbed, depressed, like this. And you counteract it with unaimed joy to overcome depression and weariness. And this joy would be, for a Buddhist, very easy. Everybody has Buddha potential. And that Buddha potential is constantly calling us. Yeah, so everybody is constantly looking for happiness, 24 hours a day. Not consciously, but constantly. Yeah, like everything we do, every move, every, you know, whatever we do, it is to avoid suffering and it's to have happiness. Not even for, you know, we're not trading. We're not saying, okay, 1 hour in those 24 hours in a day, I accept suffering if I get 23 hours of happiness. We're not like this. We don't want suffering. We want happiness. Yeah, so because that thrive is always there. So then I think that at one point, everybody at one point will go in the right direction. So we can start trusting that. And because it's the nature of the mind, you know, this purity and this not being stained and this natural spaciousness, intelligence and goodness, we can never lose it, no matter how much it is covered. Yeah. A bit like water, when you have sand that fell into the water and you stir it, then it looks as if the water is dirty. But the water is never dirty. There's just sand in the water and it can be taken out. So if you are doing too much rejoicing, like only rejoicing, then also you lose perspective a little bit. And then it's like smoking joints all the time, you know. And you get overexcited and flighty or like a little bit blissed out, you know, say, everything is empty and everything is fine and everything is this and that. So you counteract it with unaimed equanimity, free from attachment to the good things also. And if you do too much equanimity, you can become indifferent and passive. So you counteract it with unaimed love, extended to all. Okay? So you see, it's like, again, you need to be balanced there. And this is why we practice all four together. Do you have questions on this, or is it more or less clear? Huh? What exactly is the difference between the immeasurable of happiness versus joy? Well, I don't know an immeasurable of happiness. What do you mean? We have four immeasurables. Love. Love is the wish for everybody to be happy, the wish, okay? Joy is being happy with the well-being of others. Okay, so if you think it's the same thing, I don't think it doesn't feel the same to me. Like the sensation of it is not the same, but I would find it difficult to explain. Anybody can help, maybe with a bit of a better explanation here? Now, one thing is, yeah, don't know. So you see, joy is the ability to feel joy in the happiness of others. The near enemy is a sense of comparison, concluding that our own experience makes us inferior, superior, or equal to someone else. We separate ourselves again. So, comparison, regardless to the conclusion, is always a source of pain and delusion. Touching the spirit of sympathetic joy in our heart connects us with happiness in all life. Sympathetic joy embraces all those who experience happiness themselves and brings us together with them. Their well-being becomes your own. Joy is an emotion. Love is a yearning, yeah. Loving kindness. I think the joy just already sees the happiness. The joy kind of focuses, the joy focuses on the good things, whereas love is focused just about everything. Like, neutral state or happiness or suffering. And then when love sees the suffering, it turns into compassion. So if you don't have loving kindness, you cannot have compassion also. Any other suggestion what the difference is? No? Okay. Love is the wish for somebody to be happy. And this, or for all beings, like if we talk Buddhist, so it's for all beings to be happy. Then when you see that they are happy, I would say then it turns into joy. Okay, Shachar is the scholar, so I'm sure he has a good explanation. The object of immeasurable of love is sentient beings lack happiness. The wish is that they will have happiness. The object of immeasurable of joy is sentient beings that have happiness and wishing them to, yeah, exactly. So joy is the outcome. I think so. So that's it, yeah. Is that clear? So you see, love is the wish for beings to be happy. It's like that's the object. And then joy, if you see that they are happy, then the joy comes naturally. And then you're even more happy in a way. And joy is, this open or less difficult. Yeah. The joy is the outcome. Love is easier to develop or less. Yeah, see, I think this is subjective, which one is easier to develop. I think joy is very easy. You see somebody in good fortune, you're just happy, that's it. I find joyful and rejoicing very, very easy to do. Especially when I heard for the first time, because I am lazy, Nachum, So it's not so good if you ask me what I'm doing in my free time. So I'm kind of naturally lazy. So when I heard Dribu Rinpoche say the first time, well, if you're not well and if you're not doing so well and your practice not advancing, then just rejoice. You can stay in bed. And I thought, oh, this is my practice. This is great. Yeah. And it's true, I was in Bogaya at one point and I wanted to go and do joy is unconditional state of mind, not depending where, oh, that was quick. Joy is unconditional state of mind, not depending on outside world. Well, we are aiming for these four immeasurables to become without a condition, without an object. Okay, so these are the Brahma Viharas. So kind of these are states of mind that the realized being has unconditionally in its mind. But we have to start with somewhere. So that's why we take objects. So joy is unconditional. Joy is, but still, what they're talking about here is you see the happiness of somebody else and you become joyful. Yeah. So I was in Bogaya and I was there and I was doing prostrations and I hurt my back. So I was, I couldn't go to the stupa anymore to do the prostrations. So I was jealous of the people who were still going there and doing prostrations. So it's good to recognize this. I was lying in bed. And so instead of being happy that I can lie in bed, I don't have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's freezing cold and it's kind of wet sometimes in Bodhgaya in the winter. And I could stay in a warm bed, under the cover. What did I do? I was jealous of the people who were, freezing cold at the stupa. And I thought, you're stupid. Come on, you can rejoice that they can do their prostrations, and then the depression and the jealousy just went away. So this is why we use them as antidotes for these things. Okay, can you feel joy when you are sad? Yes, I think so. Equanimity, love, compassion have a target tool, have an object, let's say. Joy, yeah, I think, if you do practice a lot of mindfulness meditation, and if you learn with mindfulness meditation not to react to everything that comes up, neither with attachment when things are good, because joy can go into attachment very quickly also. So if you learn not to react to everything that comes up, then the mind goes a little bit more towards its natural state, which is spaciousness, and joy isn't there anyway. So it's not joy like, wow, this is fantastic, but it's kind of a very quiet feeling of just everything is okay, no matter what. Okay? Tom, jealousy can sometimes be beneficial because it shows you what is important to you. Yeah, that's true. So you see, be careful when you practice Buddhism, okay? Don't throw all these, what is called negative emotions, don't throw them all out, because we do need them to survive also, yeah? So it's not about suppressing them. It's not about, it's not about the kind of, I want to be totally free of all these things. It's more about recognizing whether they be helpful, what I want to attain or not. So if Tom says, Tom said, where was it? Tom said, jealousy can sometimes be beneficial because it shows you what is important to you. Okay, if it only shows you what is important to you, then it's not beneficial, because then you're stuck with it. But if the jealousy kind of gives you the energy to get what is important for you and what you want to get, then yeah, why not? By all means. But still, it's not, because all of these unhelpful emotions are one-sided, and they are, they project a lot outside. Because what jealousy is doing, you can't see the good things that you have anymore. This is usually when we talk about jealousy. But it can also, it can also kind of get you going, but it's competition, and then you need to succeed. And I would say that is not very helpful. You see, quite often these things are helpful in the short run. They get you what you want. Like anger can get you what you want because the other person is afraid of you. Attachment makes your mind, a desire makes your mind very clear and very clever how to get the thing. When you're young and you have desire for a certain person, and the person is present, you only show your best self, like, you're witty, you're funny, you're not depressed, things like this. So we know exactly what to get, but then it's kind of just, short-term results. So we have to ask ourselves, well, is it really worthwhile? So Tomer is asking, to you or to your ego? Now, big question, what is ego? Tomer, what is ego? What is you and what is ego? Can you make a distinction between the two? I think the question was asked to His Holiness this morning about, 5 aggregates and the self. How can it be that they're different? Or is there more a feeling that they are one? So that would be more or less this one here. Yeah. So what is ego, Tomer? Or anybody else? you know, we talk so much about ego, so then it's good to examine also, well, what do I think ego is?
The conditioned me.
Conditioning. The me, okay, yeah. The me. I can't distinguish, but maybe someone more advanced can. Okay.
I think ego is an idea. Of course, it's an idea that you have of yourself that you real. I mean, it starts from there. I mean, when I think of ego, first of all, it's because that I forget that I'm no more than a body and a mind, a body and a consciousness. So I think of Hagar as an actual person, and that's where the ego starts. So when I think of Hagar as something real, as an actual person, um, and of course the environment encourages me to want Hagar to be something special. So if I want to be like a jazz pianist, then the jazz pianist will be my ego for just my own example, yes, but for the greater Hagar, the great Hagar. So I think that the ego is wanting it's so much, you know, but I don't believe that there's a Gar. I believe there's just a body and a mind, and Hagar is just something in here that I want to please all the time.
Yeah.
And if I don't please the image, then I would feel terrible. I would feel terrible, and I'm not really alive. So when Tomer says if it's good for the ego or not, when we feel jealous, it's because we want Hagar or the I to be something else that we are not. And if we don't have the self, the name, the Tomer, the Hagar, the whatever, then we don't then we remember that we're nothing but a body and a mind. And if we're nothing but a body and a mind, then we are clear, we're nothing, we're empty.
Yeah. You see, sometimes when you listen to the Madhyamika Prasangika, sometimes it's good also to know a little bit the lower schools, where they think that these five aggregates are the I or the self. I'm not talking about ego now, I'm talking self, so some people might think the same, you know, we can use it in the same sense. As Hagar is saying, something that is added, you know. So we have an I, a conventional I, that is, you know, the label for this body and the mind. So the lower schools, Gila, if I'm mistaken, or Leora Kenneth, you can correct me, okay? So then they say that the five aggregates are the self or are the person, let's say. So then, but our wrong you or ignorance, they add something to that, which is a separate I, you know, and separate I, separate me, something separate from the body and separate from the mind, and that is mistaken. So kind of a super me or super I, yeah. So then we have to see, you know, when do I feel the best? Is when just, you know, body and mind are kind of cooperating with each other, and I forget about myself a bit, and everything flows and everything goes well. Then that we could say that is the I, that is me, that is the self. Because if you jump like from the beginning to a selfless kind of, you know, there is no I at all, then it's you can very quickly fall into nihilism, I think. So it's quite good to know the view of the lower school also. What do you think, Tila? Tila, can I have your opinion? Of course, you know, Prasangika Madhyamika, of course, that is the best. But still, sometimes when people hear this for the first time, it can be quite frightening, actually. So, if you go first a little bit like this, you know, like there is something that you could call the superego, something that jumps in when you are in danger, but when that prevents you from reacting in a kind of skillful or helpful way, a little bit like that thing that is always blocking our happiness or something like that. Yeah. But again, you know, it's good to study the texts, then, or to hear the teachings, and then to sit down and experience. How do I experience my I or my ego or this super I, whatever you want to call it? Because this is the key. I mean, this is the answer to all the problems. If we start to understand what we are and who we are, of which there's a very good book that has been translated into Hebrew by His Holiness, See Yourself the Way You Are, which gives you a lot of clues, kind of how to get at this, what does exist and what does not exist. Because also, I think to study dependent arising before you deeply go into studying emptiness is quite helpful, because it's easier to understand that, you know, everything, like the I that we have or the me that we have, totally depends on body and mind. But to us, it feels, especially when it's strong, as if the body and mind are depending on the I, like the I or the me or the self is the possessor of the I or the self. Yeah, it looks as if the self is the possessor of body and mind, but the I is totally dependent on body and mind. If there's no body, if there's no mind, also there is no I. So there is an I, so be careful. There is a self, but there is no independent, autonomous, permanent, and what's the other word? Singular self, okay? Now, looking at Leora Kennett's face, I am a little bit worried. Am I saying stupid things, or is it more or less okay? Because those are the scholars of the group, Shachar also. Yeah, Leora?
Shachar is probably the person to answer that, but if I may, I would like to relate to it not from the philosophical point of view, just
Yeah,
for
exactly.
experience.
That's what we need to do also.
For me, and my personal psychologist would not agree, but for me, ego is the self that doesn't want to accept changes, accepting values, changes my afflicted emotions. He wants me to do the habitual wrong activities which I'm automatically do, and try to change. When I want to do when I want to change myself, like doing destroy the ego. When we talk about destroying the ego and build all the values that believe in Buddhism, and the ego doesn't let me do it. This is the habitual behavior that I'm used to do. That's what I call my ego rejects the change. That's what I mean in daily life. Psychologists have a different.
Yeah, I know. So you have to find out, you know, what you think, you know, again, hear these different views and then look, what do I think ego is? What is it? Yeah. So what is I? What is me? You know, the whole world kind of has to turn around this I and this me. We take ourselves for so important. We are important, but not that, you know, not at the center of the universe, which I think we are. And so, and we don't even know what it is. So, and this is what separates us from others. I think this is, for me, this is exactly that, what it is. It separates me from others. It makes me and them, and then I start having problems. And you all know the quote from Einstein also. I hope it's from Einstein, because the other quote I gave you the other day was not from Einstein, apparently, but it's still very good, the quote about love. So this, you know, when he says a human being is a part of what we call the universe, but because of a kind of mental illusion, he sees himself as separate. And this is why then we limit ourselves to just a few people that we like and that we're attached to. So he says the task is to see ourselves as a part of a whole, and then and part of nature, also part of nature, part of a whole, part of the universe. And so this would be our task. And then he says, which I disagree with him, and he says, this is not possible to do, but just trying to do that, just trying to see yourself as a part of the whole universe will give you mental stability and happiness. With that, I would agree again. But so he says it's not possible to spontaneously see you just as a part of the universe. You know, just the word individual also, what it says is like somebody who is not dividable. It's impossible. We're not even individuals. We cannot survive alone with others, because if there's no other, there is no me, there is no I. I can only have an I because I have other. Otherwise, why would I be I? How can I distinguish? If I don't have other, I cannot distinguish and see myself as I or me. So I'm depending on others just to be me. And then also, you know, the me being the most important thing in the universe. I am the only person in the whole universe who calls me me. Everybody else calls me you. And I think I'm so important. Yeah. So it's good to it's good to examine these things when you feel well. You know, when you're not full of self-doubt and low self-esteem and all this, then if you're not experienced, because then it will increase that sense of I'm no good and I'm terrible and I'll never do anything good. So do this when you are, you know, as an experiment a little bit. Maybe in a group also. It's really good to discuss these things. Okay? Okay, so what or otherwise put it, the ego is always sits on the shoulder and try to disturb, and we have to be friends. Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good one. This kind of separate self or independent self, it is masquerading as our best friend. It's our worst enemy. You know, everything that is difficult to do, it doesn't want to do it. Everything that you can do with laziness, you know, it wants to be lazy. You let it be lazy. In the evening, you're totally unhappy. Yeah, and then you have to challenge it. You said, hey, you wanted to be lazy today. You wanted to eat all the food that you know exactly is not good for you. We ate all the food that is not good for you. We were totally lazy. Why are you not happy? You know, challenge this kind of thing. It wants things to go easy. Yeah, but that's, and unfortunately, that's not the way. Okay, it masquerades as our friend. It's our word. It's the only enemy we have. The believing, the grasping at this I or self, and then we cherish it. Okay, so can you see the text? Because that's what we're going to do in the meditation after. So, okay, there's one more chat here to open. Yes, oh, okay. Okay, good. So you can do Tonglen with these four immeasurables. And you go in, you know, not just may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness, you actually go a little bit deeper with your words, like there's more energy in it. So first is like how wonderful it would be for sentient beings were to abide in equanimity, free from being too close to friends and too, oh, it needs an O here. Okay. Too close to friends and too distant to enemies. So this is just the wish. And then the wish becomes a bit stronger and we go, may they abide in equanimity. And now as a Buddhist, as a, you know, Mahayana Buddhist, you start to take responsibility and you develop the wish, I myself will cause them to abide in equanimity. And then we start to understand, oh my gosh, this is really difficult to do. And then we're asking for help. We're asking for help from the Buddha, or if you have like with Tara or Chandresik, or even the Dalai Lama. If you can give the Dalai Lama some powers, you know, that an ordinary being doesn't have, then you can ask him. If we ask for bless me to be able to do this. So maybe the word bless me is maybe not so skillful. You can say inspire me to be able to do this, but blessing, we shouldn't be too close to that, because if you never, but blessings also in Judaism are very common, isn't it? You're quite used to that word blessing. Like you get something, you get some kind of extra energy that you can do what you want to attain. Yeah? Would that be for you what blessing means, or what does blessing mean for you? You see, when we do deity practice, and this people can maybe affirm it when they start to do what we did yesterday briefly with the green Tara, we start to do these kind of practices, you receive the blessings. It's as if you are watering the seeds that we already have. Yeah, and for me, this is, I know, like, you know, many people say, oh no, Buddhism, I want it to be secular. and all this. But for me, it's very important, this part also. Otherwise, you're giving power. Yeah, exactly, giving power. Otherwise, your practice becomes very, very dry. Your heart dries up in a way, you know. But when we think about role models, like can be Tara, Chenresik, or it can be the Dalai Lama or your master and your teacher, then we feel touched by them. And then it gives us this kind of the water that we need for our practice. So we're asking for blessings. And if you do this with Tonglen, like it's a practice of giving and taking. So I'm sure many of you know it. So we know we have self-cherishing, isn't it? We've just been talking about this. So we think, you know, you can imagine one person in front of you, you can imagine the whole universe in front of you, a group of people or your government or whatever. And you can say, I myself, I have self-cherishing. May they be free from it, because I have it anyway. So this is when we do this practice of giving and taking, that's the way we think. It's not that, you know, we have to wish for them to be free from it, but it doesn't mean you will experience it. But you can, you know, if you can combine it with your breath, then you think you kind of draw it out from them, but not for you to have it. And here, you know, this is from Lama Zopa Rinpoche, of course, here you give the self-cherishing to your own self-cherishing, who doesn't want to have it because it understands that if I have more self-cherishing, I kind of suffer even more. But by having the courage to do that and giving it to your self-cherishing who sits in your heart, you imagine it explodes and then it disappears. It kind of runs away. You know, this is the Tibetan kind of reasoning for the self-cherishing. If you give it, instead of wanting to give it happiness, if you give it suffering, then it will run away. Well, I'm not sure with the Western self-cherishing. I think it will increase, actually. It will become even bigger. But it's this wish for others to be free from attachment and from anger, and seeing that I have it anyway because it's based on self-cherishing. So you take it away from everybody else. And if you have the courage and if you know and if you're skillful enough how to do this, you give it to your self-cherishing. What you can also do is that you think your own goodness in your heart is like a filter, you know, or like a ball of light. And then you take the attachment and the anger from others and you breathe it in, and it goes into that like a vacuum cleaner. Yeah, when you breathe in, you take it away, you breathe it in, and then it goes through that filter of loving kindness that you have, and it comes out. When you breathe out, it comes out as the second one. Yeah, then it's love. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings had happiness and the causes for happiness. A little bit stronger, may they have happiness and its causes. I myself will cause them to have happiness and its causes. Please, Guru Deity, bless me to be able to do this. So if the word Guru Deity is disturbing you, you can use another one, whatever source that you think might be helpful for you to give you the power and that strength. So when you breathe in, you take away the difficulties. When you breathe out, you give out everything that is good, that you have, you know, you think it's quite nice. You transform your body into a wish-granting jewel that gives every sentient being every kind of temporary and ultimate happiness that they desire and need. Yeah, you just do this with your mind, like freely. We learn to give, like this lady with the crutches on the train, you know. We give whatever we are attached to. Because usually when we give something that we don't need anymore, isn't it? We give something that is, you know, we won't be lacking if we give it away. So here, in order to learn to give freely, when you breathe out, you can be very creative in that meditation. Then the compassion again is breathing in. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings were free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they be free from suffering and its causes. I myself will cause them to be free from suffering and its causes. Please, Guru Deity, or, you know, please, source of love or compassion or source of light or whatever you want to call it, bless me to be able to do this. meditate briefly on Tonglen, taking upon yourself all the suffering and causes of suffering of all sentient beings. Again, it's not for you to experience more suffering, because you have to experience it anyway, but you take it voluntarily so that others can be free from it. So it's not about you, this whole thing. It's not about you now, oh, I'm so noble and I take all the suffering and then I will suffer. No, it's for them to be free from it. You know, the attitude of a bodhisattva. And then when you breathe out, and this is probably the most difficult thing for us to give, so we give joyfulness, how wonderful it will be for sentient beings who are never separated from the happiness of high rebirth liberation. May they never be separated from these. I myself will cause them never to be separated from these. Please, Guru Deity or source of happiness or whatever, bless me to be able to do this. And then when you breathe out, you give out all your past, present, and future merits and their results, including enlightenment to all sentient beings. So all your effort you're making on your spiritual path, you give it away and then you're left with nothing, kind of thing. I find this quite difficult to do, you know, because I am a little bit calculating when I do positive things, creating merit. Then I really think that something will be in there for me in the future, which is okay. Yeah, you know. Is that clear? Because we will have a break and then we'll do this kind of meditation. We will not last 45 minutes, so then at the end we still have some time to discuss. Yes, Kitty. You raised your hand.
Yeah, well, we thought maybe we do the finishing talk now, not after the last meditation. So it will
Really?
take a few minutes. Is it okay?
Oh, this I didn't know. I thought it would be at the end, but yeah, sure. Just be brief, you know.
Yeah, I'll be brief. So it's okay if I do it in Hebrew?
Yeah.
So I'll do it in Hebrew. טוב, אז אנחנו
before you
היום הזה.
No, wait, Kitty, sorry, because I think the meditation is more important than the same. Thank you, sorry for that. It's just my view. Do you have questions about this? What I just explained, because we will be doing it at the end, or is it more or less clear? You know, that we breathe in the problems. If the breath is too heavy, just think that you are taking it and don't do it with the breath, you know. And when you breathe out, you give out the good things. Is that clear? And also, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to do it. Okay, looks like nobody has questions now. I won't interrupt you anymore. So you can go ahead. Sorry about this.
So I'll be in Hebrew and I'll do it brief. אז כמו שאמרתי בתחילת היום, אני רוצה טיפה להרחיב על זה, הפעילות של ידידי הדרמה, כמו הפעילות הזאת וכל יתר הפעילויות והשיעורים המוקלטים וכולי, הכל ניתן בלי בקשה לתשלום, בלי תג מחיר. אבל יש לנו הוצאות, וכמובן גם המורה היא חיה בעולם כמו כולנו, ואנחנו רוצים להפגין את ההוקרה שלנו גם לנדיבות ולמסירות המדהימות שלה. אז אנחנו באמת מאוד מאוד מבקשים שתנצלו את ההזדמנות הזאת, וכדאי אולי אפילו עכשיו, ולא לדחות את זה לאיזשהו זמן בעתיד, כי זה לוקח באמת חצי דקה. ויש פה גם הזדמנות באמת לתרגל איזושהי נדיבות, ולעשות איזושהי פעולה שיכולה להגדיל את הטוב בעולם, ולהפחית אולי קצת את הסבל וכל הדברים הבאמת נפלאים ונורא חשובים שלמדנו היום. וגם יש בזה באמת צד פרקטי, עם הרבה הצער, כי יש גם פרקטית בעולם, ולמרות הקורסים והסדנאות שלנו הם יותר פשוטים, ולא צריכים לזכור חדרים ולהזמין ארוחות וכולי, שאלה דברים שתמיד אנשים נורא לוקחים בחשבון, גם אני, כשהם מנסים לחשוב רגע כמה דנה לתת, אז כן חשוב להגיד שגם בתקופה הזאת יש לעמותה, לנו, אין דבר כזה עמותה, לידידי הדרמה, לנו, יש הרבה הוצאות, שזה הוצאות קבועות, ודווקא בגלל שאין פעילויות פיזיות, אז אנחנו צריכים תמיכה בפעילות הזאת, ולהחזיק זום, ולהחזיק אתר, ולהחזיק רואה חשבון, ועוד הרבה מאוד דברים, ולחשוב על הפעילויות שאנחנו רוצים לקיים ברגע שזה יתאפשר. כל הדברים האלה יכולים להתאפשר בזכות הנדיבות של כולנו. אני גם יודע שלהרבה אנשים קשה, והמצב הוא קשה לא רק לידידי הדרמה, אלא גם להרבה מאיתנו, בגלל המצב הכלכלי והעבודות וחוסר ביטחון וכולי. אז כל אחד ואחת שיחשבו כמה הם יכולים לתת, ויתנו, אני לא סנג הרבה פעמים אומרת, טיפונת יותר. אנחנו לא מבקשים שאנשים ייכנסו לחובות או יגבירו את חוסר הוודאות וייכנסו לחרדות כלכליות בגלל הרצון שלהם לתמוך, אבל כן מאוד נודה על כל תרומה שיש. אני שולח בצ'אט עוד פעם את המספר חשבון בנק, מי שיש לה או לא פייפל, אז זה ממש לחיצת כפתור. תודה רבה, תודה על ההשתתפות, שבלעדיה לא היה הדבר הזה. אם לא היו אנשים, אז לא היה זום, אז באמת זה מאוד כיף ומשמח שזה עדיין יכול להתקיים וממשיך. יש אתר עם המון ידיעות על המון פעילויות שכל הזמן ממשיכות. יש ערוץ יוטיוב שבו כל הפעילויות האלה מוקלטות, ואפשר לעשות את המדיטציות ולשמוע כפודקאסטים את השיעורים. אני מקווה להיפגש בקרוב, פנים אל פנים, גם בעולם המציאותי ולא רק הווירטואלי. אז תודה, ונתראה. אנילה, we meet in 15 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so then it will be, what, 25 past, isn't it? Is that right? Yeah. In 15 minutes, okay? So those who are not coming for the meditation anyway, thank you very much for participating. It was very nice to connect with you all, and otherwise see you in 15 minutes, and then at the end we can say goodbye at the end, okay? Okay, thank you.
תודה, גידי.
Yeah, thank you, Gidi.
כן, thank you, גידי. ביי, תודה.